Hi, everyone.
Happy Wednesday. We're going to wait just a few minutes so people have a little time to join us.
You're muted, Coleman.
Wouldn't that be the worst? Wouldn't that be the worst?
I was like,
if you're like, we did all this prep
That's
work.
not funny.
What you have? Oh, it's Wednesday. We gotta go. Oh, that was awesome. How long do we want to do? You guys wanted to wait? Everybody's gonna jump on. This is gonna be fun.
they're starting to trickle on. If you're joining, say hi. Tell us where you're watching from.
Oh, yeah, that's better.
This is different. Scroll.
Hey, Tana?
Well, that's not how you get somebody to join, Brody. You don't just send them out of the room. Bring them in here. Fixing to give away some stuff here in a little bit. Everybody needs to play. It's all right. Jump on in here.
Bye,
got that
Lisa.
bathtub.
Sherry, Susan.
Got Washington, California, Kansas.
Sawyer, Tracy, Katrina.
Missouri, Indiana.
What's the farthest state so far? Washington? Got to be right.
Well, yeah, we've got California and Washington.
Oregon,
Oregon's there.
We're going to get some people from back east, surely.
West Virginia,
Got West Virginia, Wisconsin,
Texas.
Arkansas.
You guys ever buy like no calorie stuff? And then you actually have one that has all the calories, like the sugar free, and then you drink one that's not, and you're like, wow,
Huge difference.
I've been missing it. You know what I mean?
All right.
We have a good group.
We have a great group to start with. So we're going to go ahead and get started, guys. We have a couple of special guests with us today. We have Coleman Proctor and Brody Papineau, and Coleman's going to talk with us today about pro rodeo season, roping tips and tricks. And he's going to talk about the 2X Cool boots from Pro Choice and what he loves about them.
If you have any questions, please make sure you put those in the comments over there. At the end of the segment, one lucky viewer is going to be taking home a 4-pack of the 2X Cool boots, color of your choice. Also, we want to remind you that right now the Boot Up promo is going on. Through December 31st, you can get $10 off a 2-pack or $20 off a 4-pack of any of the Pro Choice boots, except for the bell boots. Those are excluded. With that, Coleman, we are going to turn it over to you.
Hey, thanks for having me on today and letting me be a part of a really neat program and a really cool giveaway. Thank you guys for doing that. That's some retail dollars right there. I mean, a 4-pack. Getting $20 off this month. That's pretty cool. It starts October 1st and goes through the end of the year. Is that correct? Awesome. Well, it was a great season. Here we just finished it up. It's kind of funny how the pro rodeo world works. We finished September 30th and then we start October 1st. So no real off season for us, but you do get to take a deep breath. And I did find a pizza ranch. You know what I mean? Like that last celebratory, we feast. The year's over, and now we start fasting to get ready to look okay on camera. You know what I mean? Because I don't understand. Like, you would think in pro rodeo world, like they would get camera angles. You know what I mean? Like this, I look thin. This, I look huge. So then when you walk in the box, like at the national finals, they're just 4K cameras shooting right up at you, and you're just not looking your best. But anyways, it's been a great year, great season, and very fortunate. We finished off the year at the Governor's Cup, had a big weekend, and I think that's the fastest I've ever been in my life. We were 3-4 in the last one. I got to meet Christy Nome. She's super sweet. I kind of dropped her a line of like, hey, I got a podcast. You're welcome on it anytime if you think it'll help your political career. Just whatever I can do to help you, Christy. Thank you so much for what you do for the Cowboys. I haven't heard from her yet, but we're hopeful. And no, South Dakota, I thought it was so cool they ended the year in South Dakota this year because South Dakota supports the rodeo guys so much. Whenever COVID hit, they had us stuff to go to, and they kept their state open and gave us a chance to go make a living. So we're all grateful to South Dakota and the leadership up there, not just for the huge event they just finished up with, but for everything they do for us throughout the year. But it's been a great year. I'm excited to go back to my 8th national finals. And I can't believe I just said that word out loud, 8. Like, that's the first time I think I've said it for real, because I'm still a little kid that just wants to make it once. And it's pretty cool, pretty surreal. And I'm really looking forward to getting back to Vegas. And we've had a lot of success this year on a lot of different horses. But one of my favorite stories all year was I had a great horse, Admiral, and I got him back. And he has a laundry list of stuff. He had suffered a pretty extensive injury in his right front. And so he has an extensive laundry list of stuff to do. And every day I would ride him, we would have to immediately after I got done, I like the 2X Cool boots on him the best. They fit really tight. They fit really comfortable. They don't let his tendon get too hot. And as soon as I got done roping, if I would either I'd get the ice boots out and hit him up on the ice boots. But then if I was in a different rig and I didn't actually have my personal Pro Choice ice boots, you guys, they make the Pro Choice cells that you can freeze. You can use them in your cooler. Like if you're trying to get your Topo Chico's ice down before you have to steer rope and slack, wherever, I can wrap my 2X Cool boot around those ice cells. And it really worked great, icing his leg back down. And then, of course, he had to have his ceramics on pre-game, ice boots on after. And I'm grateful for Pro Choice, the way they've kept him sound and going all year.
See if we have any questions here.
Awesome. We got any comments there?
We have a lot of comments.
Oh, boy. Not for me. Surely not.
I bet you can answer them if they are, though.
Cole has one question for you here. He says, is there still a place for leather splint boots, for example, on hot days? Also, come spin one for me at the Riata Buckle.
Oh, man. I'm actually just entered the Riata Buckle yesterday, matter of fact. So I'll be down there. Yeah, hit me up. I'm a huge – when I was a kid growing up, the old Ed Galumbo style leather boots, I'll be honest, I just don't love the fact they don't give the same support as the 2X Cool ones, or even the popular SMBs. The way that they support the suspensory ligament going down around your horse's leg, if you ever see the amount of extension, I'm bad. I video a lot of my runs and when I'm practicing and stuff. And the amount of extension there is, like in your horse's ankle when he goes to set the corner, or like as a head horse when he starts to face. I mean, those joints are moving a lot, and like those tendons are really getting stretched. And it's honestly amazing they make it through any of the runs without, hurting themselves. And so personally, I like the 2X Cool boots because of the support they give, how tight they can wrap. I don't have to worry about them getting too hot. I think that's the greatest thing. Brody, my buddy, Brody Popino here, can tell you all about how scientifically they get all that to work. But the way that they keep the leg cool and the support they give is the reason why I would favor them over the old leather style.
I'd add to that too, if I could, ladies, because of that. The suspensory strap is a huge part of that. So when a horse is running or whatever, a horse naturally hyperextends in that pastern joint, and the suspensory comes down, the fetlock will dang near touch the ground with every step that they're applying a lot of force. And that suspensory strap going down under the fetlock and back up aids in helping that come back to its natural position there and keep from over or straining that suspensory. Where the leather sport boots from back, 10, 12, 15 years ago, where everybody used the Ed Galimbas and other brands, those were great boots as far as banging protection, but they didn't offer a whole lot of support in those. And the best part about the 2X Cool boot is it doesn't have any neoprene in it. It's the only boot on the market that is neoprene free. It has a breathable foam inside it, and then it has the Burr technology as the liner, which promotes a cooling agent as it's applied to the leg. It naturally starts cooling the leg and keeping it cool, dry, and protected, and keeping it at constant temperature in there without a heat buildup. Where the neoprene doesn't breathe, these boots do, and it'll allow the sweat to actually wick away from the leg and keeping them, cooler and drier inside the boot.
See, that's what we're great at. They extend their leg a lot. Looks like it helps them a bunch. How they do it, Brody? You know what I mean? That's why we fit good. And then, but I'll be at the Riata, so hit me up. I'd love to meet you.
We had another question. She asked, "What are the ceramics?"
Oh, the ceramic sport boots, or the ceramic, what is it? The ceramic
Combo wraps.
therapy boots. That's what I was wanting to say was therapy boots.
Oh, that works.
So what they do is they keep a lot of. I use them as the way to draw, and to keep my horse's legs drawn down, and while they're traveling, because a lot of horses like mine tend to stock up, especially on the trailer for as long as we are. Or like when they go to Vegas, and they kind of got to be in the stalls a lot. So the ceramics, they work a lot. You know, kind of like you're back on tracks and stuff. I personally like them better, and they're actually washable. You can take them apart and wash them. And I'm a huge ceramics fan, and they will draw the swelling out of your horse's leg. Check them out. And they also come with sheets that I've been using as fly sheets. Also kind of helps keep the flies off of. I use mine as fly sheets, plus kept the soreness out of their body. Brody, how does that work?
So the ceramic material is embedded in a thread of the boot, or the actual liner of the boot. And what it does is it promotes blood flow. So you can use it as a pre-workout, post-workout, either way. Pre-workout, you put it on, increases the blood flow, warming up the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons to help keep from injuring those. Use it afterwards once they cool down to get more blood flow back through there and get the lactic acid out of the muscles to reduce the soreness. So he's right on track, Coleman.
That's what I'm saying. I knew. I see I see what it does. You tell me how it works. I like that.
And they do work. They're
huge ceramics fan. Huge ceramics
as
fan.
am I.
Linda asked if they are tested, the ceramic products tested.
They've been on the market for 4 to 5 years now. So yes, they're tested, personally tested on myself. They work amazing.
They've been tested in the toter all year. So I've tested them all year this year. So I've not put them in a situation where I haven't been thrilled.
Okay, Sherry had a question. I think this is about the 2X Cool. Is it like the memory foam liner?
Is it a memory foam? No, it isn't. Not a memory foam. Memory foam is a closed cell. That is an open cell, which is what allows that boot to breathe and the heat to not build up inside it.
You know, you talked about the way those wick the moisture, and it is kind of crazy how the outside of that boot will be wet and on the inside it will still be cooler.
It is. And I honestly don't understand that a whole lot, how it works exactly. I just know it's the bird technology in there that pulls it away from them. And then it's so breathable that it allows the moisture to come through the boot. You can take those off the back of the outside of the boot will be wet, and the inside of the Velcro will have some moisture on it, where the boot will be a lot drier than a leg with a neoprene boot on it.
Yeah, and especially as team ropers, like we rope all day. You know, we might be standing there for 4 hours, so you don't feel as bad having to have your horse booted up. Because, you know, you're jumping back and forth between horses, this and that. I'm a huge fan of the 2X Cool ones. I love the fit. I love the protection. They're the only boot that I entrusted putting Admiral's leg back in, getting him back. So I'm a huge fan of the 2X Cool.
All right. Tracy said, do you have something that stays cool to travel with on the legs? With the heat being so bad this summer, we haven't been able to use anything that increases blood flow. It's just too hot.
Ooh, that's a great question. You know, one of my favorite tricks, pro choice or professional's choice. Sorry, apologize. Professional choice. Fly boot. Dump ice down in it. I had to do that one a time or two. Not a bad hack whenever you're needing something to keep the leg cool for a long period of time.
Great hack.
Because then once it melts off.
Great hack, because you don't want to leave ice on too terribly long anyways. So to keep them cool, 100% agree with that.
But I love let's talk about the ice boots, buddy. So like they have a weird like jelly feel, and then they freeze up. They get very, very, very cold, and they last a while. Like I was told to ice my horse for 10 to 15 minutes afterwards, and every time I'd pull it off, they were still cold, and the boot was still cold. So I was very impressed on the longevity of the coldness of the ice boot.
Yes, the material and the products that's in there are ice boots. Now, we make two different styles. We make one that's a pocket ice boot that you can add the ice to yourself. And then we actually make one with the gel type material in there that goes in the freezer as a whole boot. which is personally what I like. And as you said, it does have a liner on the backside of it. Well, it has a nylon liner on the inside to keep a barrier between your horse's leg and the cold, extreme cold of the gel in it. And they do last longer. You can go through probably icing two horses' legs before you're going to need to put those in the freezer again. Where a typical ice boot in 6, 8, 10 minutes with regular ice is going to be melted off, and it's going to lose some of its strength as
Well, and it starts heating back up again, being wrapped around
yes.
there. That's what I've noticed before, like on other things when I'd try to ice them down. Like if I didn't get them off fast enough, it was like they had gotten cold, but then they were starting to heat back up.
Right.
And that kind of defeated the purpose.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is from Lisa. She said she has a 36-year-old mare
Oh,
who
wow.
has some arthritis. Her niece rides her, but she was just wondering what is the best support boot so that they don't ride her hard.
2X schools. I'll answer that one. That one's pretty easy.
Yeah, they got a 4-pack, $20 off, starting October 1st, going to end the first of the year. Don't be scared to get some ceramics, man. Any horse like that, we take such good care of them, that take such good care of us. And ceramics, get that blood flowing, get that arthritis slowed down a little bit. I know I get to feeling better in the mornings whenever I got my blood flowing.
Cole asked, if you are feeling pressure or nerves before a run, what do you do to get your mind right?
Man, that's a great question. I think that your mind is a lot like a slinky, right? Like you're always trying, like the funnest part of a slinky is when it's right up to the middle, right? But it's always bouncing from side to side. And so this is how it is a lot of times. I used this analogy the other day. We'll see if it works. But the main thing is depending on if I'm nervous, because a lot of times when I'm prepared and I'm ready, then I'm excited. And you can use those nerves to really tune in and optimize your performance the whole time. And there are times that I'm too excited. Let me get my camera right. I might be running a little hot and I need to calm down a little bit. And that would be like the slinky coming down and hitting. And then there's times that I'm a little flat and I actually need to get fired up a little bit. So learning to gauge where, I always call it like your number and like where you operate the best at. Like for me, I'm about a 6 to 6.5 is where I need to be to operate at the best performance that I can give. And so learning that, I'm feeling more like I'm up here operating at an 8. I'm scared to death. The bills are due. We're broke as all get out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford to go home, right? Might be an 8. You need to pull it down a little bit. And then there's times when you're flat, you're just not up to the performance. So you got to kind of lift yourself up. So I enjoy being nervous beforehand because honestly, that's why we do this, man. If I didn't love the nerves and the pressure, and I think this is what we shy away from that a lot. Like as competitors, they say, well, if I'm nervous now, then I don't need to be doing it. Well, no, that's the reason we do this. If I wanted to not feel pressure and nerves and excitement, then I can go get a 9-to-5 job. Like that wouldn't be a hard thing to do. I can sweep streets and not feel pressure. That's one of the reasons why we do this game, and that's why we love it. My wife a couple years ago makes the short round at the Indian National Finals, and it was so cute because she was just like, oh my gosh, I couldn't breathe. I almost passed out. I couldn't see anything. Everything was blurry, and that's how I feel every time I'm in the first round of a steer open. And I'm like, but that's the fun part. And she looked at me like I was crazy. And I'm like, that's why we do this. That's why we saddle our horses, and that's why we ride when it's cold. And that's why when I'm sore, hot, and tired, and I don't want to rope another one, I make sure that I got it in the tank because that's what we live for. So the next time you're feeling pressure, don't shy away from it. Lean into it. Get excited. Understand this is what it's all about. This is why we do this game. And then just learn to gauge your number and realize where you operate best from.
All right. Linda is asking, how long should I keep the ice boots on?
Man, I was supposed to ice mine. Now, I think it's probably a case-by-case issue, but I would say no longer than 15 to 20 minutes. But I was supposed to do mine anywhere from 10 to 15, ideally about 12 and a half. Brody, any words there?
I agree there. I think it's case by case, but I've always heard 15 to 20 minutes.
All right. Have you had any success with magnet therapy on the legs?
Well, I think to find success, I use them a lot. I have horses that stock up a lot. Heisman, a little bay horse I ride at the national finals. Like we've got a ceramic hem from head to toe. because he does stock up a lot. And anytime, and it's not that it's not injury sustained. I don't really understand why he stocks up so bad, because he doesn't get more unsound, but it just scares me. The more swelling we put down there, the more pressure we put on stuff. And I'm always scared of hurting him out there anyway. So I'm a huge proponent of the ceramic boots, which the ceramics, this is going to be more of a Brody question. Ceramics and magnetics, how does all that interchange?
Okay, the ceramics is kind of the same theory based behind both of them, but ceramics are pinpointing pressure points, where ceramics,
Gotcha.
the ceramic material is embedded in the whole product, and the thread of the pillow that is wrapped around a leg or the whole blanket that's on top of it. So you're not having to try to pinpoint a pressure point on a horse, say with a sheet, magnetic sheet or whatever, a size 70.
Where you get just the spots.
You're right. We're not trying to hit the spots. We're using the full body and increasing blood flow to the whole muscles, or the whole body of the muscle mass.
Because to me, and then this makes a lot of sense, if you were to hurt a stifle on a horse, it's difficult to rehabilitate because you don't get a lot of blood flow to the stifle. And blood flow ultimately is how you fix any injury, be it, you've cut your finger, or this horse, has a bad suspension that's going to require some time. So any chance we get to promote blood flow, I don't think there's a wrong answer there. I think they're all pretty positive, but I like the theory of the ceramics being a full coverage, not just pinpointing places.
Okay, we have a question from Kristen. I'm an endurance rider, so conditioning is everything for us. How do you condition in your sport to make sure the horses' bodies are ready for competition?
That's a great question. Well, honestly, I start with me. You know what I mean? I like to hit me 15 to 20 push-ups in the morning, sometimes, probably not often. But no, I'm huge on conditioning with our horses, especially. I know roping horses, they tend to run a little bit heavier. They're like me, they're kind of athletic, but they're plumpy athletic. And I think understanding, too, the disciplines of your horses. Mine, I'm expecting him to give me optimal performance for 4.5 to 5 seconds. Heisman, I don't ride, like, he's a specialized unit. I ride him a lot in the winter. That'll be the horse I ride at the national finals. I just rode him in South Dakota. And he doesn't go all year long, so then he'll tend to get out of shape. And I send him to the rehab facility that I'm very fortunate to endorse, CEP. She puts him on he gets on the aqua tread, or I don't even know, like, I don't want to speak out of turn and say the wrong thing, but it looks like a walker in the water. So if that's aqua tread or aqua spa or whatever. And then she's got all these lights. I mean, he gets a whole spa treatment for about 2 months before it's time to start going riding again. So he is always in really good shape. And what I noticed the other day when I got home, he'd been down there getting swam and getting ready to go. And I had came home and I went to practice for 3 or 4 days. And it's funny how, like, he looks fat. And you're like, golly, I don't know. Is he about to have a colt? Like, what's going on here? But he was in such good shape. I would run 4 or 5. He's not even breathing hard. He's not even sweating. So I am big about using the rehab facilities. And I've got a horse Preferred horse walker at my house that we keep them on pretty regularly. And then when I'm home out in the off season, man, we're riding them every day. So that's kind of how I make sure everything's tuned up and in shape and ready to go.
All right. Amy said, I have a horse with a bone spur on its knee that I use regular ice boots before and after. They often slide down when he moves. How do you attach yours for a knee?
Man, I tell you what, so of course, I'm referring to the professional choice with the gel in them. What's the name of that one, Brody?
Just the ice boot, the IB 100s or the IB 200s.
Okay, so the old IB 100 or 200s, and because Heisman has a big knee, I had a chip taken out of his knee a couple years ago, so it gets really it's bigger. So the trick that I like to do. And the beautiful thing about them is the bottom strap is actually a little longer and you can go a little farther around. So I flip it over and then I will wrap it, not like mid cannon, not cannon, but what would that be? Mid forearm, about right there. And then the bottom, what I'll do is I strap it really tight. And then if I need a little extra coverage, I'll take my 2X Cool boot and put on the bottom of that just to kind of help hold it up. while I can ice that down? Great question though, because I also do the same thing with the ceramic wraps.
Okay, Pam asks, how long do you leave magnetic blankets on, and do you use them pre-activity or post?
I use ceramic blankets, so I don't want to cross the line of saying magnetic. How does that work, Brody? Am I on the right
Magnetics
spot
don't.
there?
They're not going to be as critical on time management as the ceramics. We suggest the ceramics that go on in 30-minute increments. Start them at 30 minutes and work them up to no longer than 4 to 6 hours, and then you want to take them off because they do heat them up a little bit with the increased blood flow. What I've always said about ceramics is kind of like you laying down. If you're cold, you're laying down, you're sitting in a chair, and it's chilly outside. If you get up and just go walk around, it increases the blood flow through your body and it warms you up. Doesn't make you hot, just warms you up. Kind of the same theory on that, but we want to take them off and not leave them on. Magnetics, generally speaking, the magnetic blanket is a very thin fly sheet type material. So they breathe. You'll take them off and they will have a sweat spot where the magnet's set. But other than that, I would say probably you can just stick with a 4 to 6 hours on that as well. It would be safe.
I have left mine overnight, like when it was just going to be cool enough. I didn't want to go full on blanket.
I have done that myself.
Kind of use it as like right in between like a sheet and a blanket.
Yes.
And of course, keeping flies off in the Northwest.
I have done that as well.
Linda said, is 15 minutes a day of long trotting good to keep an older barrel horse in shape?
Yeah, absolutely. 15 minutes of long trot. And I would like go in each direction. My exercise routines on my walker is a little bit more extensive. And then one time Billy Jack and I were talking about this, Billy Jack Saban's buddy of mine, about like how much you lope or warm your horse up. Because like if you have a programmed situation, like a walker, for instance, you put them on there, you think, well, 5 to 7 minutes, that'll be good. I've never just loped continuously in a circle for 5 to 7 minutes. Like if you time yourself doing it, that is a long time. So I would say 15 minutes of long trotting, depending on what you're asking that horse to do. Don't let me be your vet. Consult your local veterinarian. That's just coming to you from a team roping steer roper.
Okay, when do you use ice versus ceramics, for instance, on a horse with a chip in the hock?
So what I've been doing, I use ceramics more post game or pre-game to warm it up and to get it to try to draw the swelling out. And then after I've competed, everything's going to be heated up, and then I ice it down to prevent the swelling. So much of my program is about getting the swelling out. It's the same thing. The reason why I take medications in the morning for my swelling to keep my shoulder feeling good. I try to keep them the same way. So I ceramic beforehand, ice boot after, and then I go with mud after that.
All right. Well, that is all the questions so far.
I'm so impressed that we've been able to answer every one of them, and those are some great questions. Great.
So I want to know what it's like to have won the first Governor's Cup here.
Hey, that was a cool experience. I won back in the day when we were growing up, there would always be like the Dallas Tour finale, and they'd have them big cups. You know what I'm saying? Like huge cup deals, look like the Stanley Cup.
Yes.
And I was like, man, those are so sweet. And it's kind of like winning a gold medal. Like, we don't get to. Those are just neat prizes that you never get a chance to win, hardly. And so it was really cool to actually win the cup. And then the governor gave us these coins that they give out only so often. And I got a selfie with her. I don't think I was supposed to. Like, you could tell the lady was like, I was like, I'm taking a selfie with the governor when she shakes my hand. Because it was like, shake the governor's hand, get your cup, go stand behind your saddle. So I'm like, I'm taking a selfie. And they were like, I don't think you're supposed to. And I'm like, oh, I'm so doing this. But it was great. And it was a heck of an event. Awesome crowd. Man, South Dakota people, they love rodeo. That's rodeo country. They love it. It was awesome. So it'll be kind of special. It's definitely going to go on, they say, for 3 years. Hopefully, it gets bigger and goes farther. And it'll be neat to say I've won the first one.
Well, we were sure happy. I mean, the Hokies are proud of you.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun. It has been interesting because they haven't counted my money yet in the standings. So I've been having to field a lot of those questions.
How much ice cream did the cup hold, Michelle?
Actually, not as much as you would think. And I did take it into the pizza ranch, and I did fill it up with ice cream. I did. That's a thing. I got a picture of it. It was a thing. I did put a to-go cup inside the cup because I was like, I don't want to get all sticky and nasty.
Okay, we have a question here. This is an earlier question, actually. We didn't ask it right away, but Cole
fine.
wanted to know if you and Christy are the Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce of rodeo now.
You know, it's funny. I said this. I have a good friend of mine from north of Kansas City who was like, "Wow, look at you, stud." And I'm like, "Yeah, obviously you can tell she's smitten." I had to inform her I am happily married with 2 beautiful babies. I had to let her down easy. You know, that's how it goes. Yeah, I tell you what, that Christy, she's a true rancher. You know what I mean? Like they were getting her horse ready for her. She's like, "Oh, it's good. This one will work." You know what I mean? And she was actually at the Buffalo gathering earlier that day up there by the custard place, and then flies down there just to hand us all our stuff out. So I'm a huge fan of Christy No, and I'm kind of interested to see where she goes politically here. You know what I mean? I don't want to make this a political talk show at all, so we're just gonna bounce into that line and come out. I'm just interested to see because it's an interesting dynamic talking to all the people up there in South Dakota about like if she were to run for, let's say, vice president. You know what I mean? Or for president. Like they don't want to lose her as a governor. So that should tell you about your state. Like that's how good a leadership she showed. Huge fan of Christy. I don't know. Maybe, you know, like what would be our name? You know what I mean? Like Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift. That's like the Swift. You know what I mean? Like Noam and Proctor, like Prom. I don't know. We're gonna have to work on the last name deal.
Okay.
You guys know
Was that what you were wanting for an answer right there? Did you think I was going to shy away from that one with a one-word answer? Y'all don't know me very well, do you? I'm Coleman. Very nice to meet you guys.
Donna had a question. She wants to know what is useful life of the pro-choice boots, the 2X Cool boots.
Man, that's a great question. I keep mine pretty clean. I'm good about washing them. I love that I can take them off. I have a washer right there in the barn. Or when I'm on the road and traveling and don't have that luxury, I brush mine off a lot. And I tell you what, they've lasted all summer. Now, obviously, I probably use them more when I'm home practicing every day and I'm able to wash them. But I have some of the original sets that I've ordered a year and a half, 2 years ago that I'm still using on horses.
Have you ever had a horse not like a particular arena? Mine has one arena that it doesn't want to go in, but every other place it's no problem.
You know, I think there are those instances. It's kind of like there's certain rodeos that, you know, maybe I don't get as excited about, or maybe I dread having to drive over here to this or that, or it's just like anybody having a bad day at work. I think the most important thing is to understanding where they're uncomfortable, trying to make them a little more comfortable about it, using a little bit of salesmanship to convince them to give their best effort, even if they don't like this arena. But I've definitely had horses that I felt like didn't thrive in certain venues. But ultimately, at the end of the day, all the ones that I've booted up a lot like this special, they always showed up for me when I needed them the most.
I like that plug there. Cole asked, what is something in your trailer for your horses you can't live without that would surprise people?
I have a Beamer blanket and a Beamer therapy stuff. So, I mean, like, I know you guys probably think I'm just a team roper that they were like, hey, talk about these Cool X boots. No, like it comes from an actual place of, I do a lot of therapy on my horses because as I've gotten older, I realize how important it is to take care of the little things that nag me injury wise. And so these horses, man, I've been asking their lives of them for all year long. And Heisman, especially, you know, he's always performed on the biggest stages for me. And he had that chip taken out of his knee. And so that's where it started with trying to put the ceramics on him and get it, you know, get the swelling out of it so that we could ride him, and then icing it after and doing all that. And, you know, the way I boot him up, this and that. Well, then it went a step further when I bought a Beamer blanket. And I think it's just like all the therapy equipment. Anytime you can promote blood flow, those are positive reactions happening. So, yeah, my Beamer blanket, that's kind of one of the things that keeps my 19-year-old. I have a 19-year-old tripping horse. My rig, my stuff's getting older. Like Heisman, I kept thinking it was my young horse, but like now he's 15. Heisman's 15. My other horse is 15. So, you know, the average age of my horses in my rig is probably 14 to 15 years old. And that's prime age for roping. I know that'd be older in the barrel world, or I don't know about the endurance world, but trying to keep those horses going through their prime so that I can keep making a living. I mean, it's been vital for me, and that's given me the most success.
Okay. Nina is asking, how should they fit between sizes? Medium barely can close, and the large seems too large.
That's a great question because I've been in the same spot. And so before, I always wanted to go, I would always err on the side of too big. But I've been educated by a nice lady that's helped me a lot with it about how I needed to go on the smaller end of it and help wrap them up. So I always erred before on being too big, and I think it was counterproductive. Brody, you got some thoughts on this?
Are we referring to like 2X cools? I wonder. I hope that's what we're talking about. Yes, those boots are made to stretch. Like you can't hardly put them on too tight because they're made to stretch. I guess you can put them on too tight, but they're made to go on tight. So stretch them around there. If you get a little bit of overlap on just the trim pieces, they will function the way they're supposed to. Put them on tight.
Perfect.
All right, this one's from Justin. Do you still rope the dummy, and how do you fight out of slumps?
Man, those are two great questions. Yes, I rope the dummy. I love roping the dummy. I think about this. I loved roping the dummy when I was a kid. Like my mom would have to come outside and say, hey, it's time to go to bed, time to eat supper. And I love roping the dummy. And to this day, it's almost like therapy, like going out there and working through the world's problems. And I'm still the little kid running my first one at the national finals with it over my shoulder, even though I'm 38 years old in the middle of my barn, probably just ducking fatherly responsibilities, or it's bath time, so I'm like, hey, I better go rope the dummy. You know what I mean? I'm kidding. Don't tell my wife that. I hope she didn't see that. Anyways, I love to rope the dummy. But I've noticed though, man, my shoulder's gotten more sore over the years, and at times they can go to hurting. So when I go to hurting, or if I'm roping really good, I tend to not rope the dummy as much, like on the road, like if things are feeling really good, because I get to playing around a lot. I still enjoy roping the dummy a lot, and I'll pick up some little bad habits. So I'm very structured when I rope the dummy, especially before big events. But I love roping the dummy, and I love doing drills. I do a lot of drills on the dummy. It's when I'm not having to take full swings. It doesn't hurt me. Everything works out better whenever I can. Like I pinpoint my.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. You're in charge now, Brody.
Second.
There you are.
He's back.
Sorry, I don't know how to make it not people call me when I'm doing that. You know what I mean? Because if you try to, it just hit like airplane mode, obviously, then my live feed doesn't work. But I like to do a lot of drills because I found with me keeping my delivery working for me. And so that's where I pinpoint a lot of my practice, is keeping my delivery coming straight out of my swing. So I do a lot of drills because I need to be sharp in my rope. These guys are getting younger and they're getting faster. I know that. And then what was the second question? Sorry, I got really off on the dummy. I love roping the dummy.
How do you fight out of slumps?
Man, that is a great question. My favorite analogy ever was I read this book. It talked about this young kid comes out for the majors, and he gets in a hitting slump, and he goes to the old pro at the end of the bench. He's like, man, what do I need to do? And the guy's like, you get a lighter bat. He's like, oh, is that going to help me get around that curveball faster? And he said, no, it's just a lot lighter to pack it back to the dugout. So the point being, slumps they work. I mean, you're going to get in one. Everybody that ropes, no matter what you're doing, you're going to find yourself in a slump. The first thing you can't do is ever admit that you are in one, period. Number one, you can't ever admit that you're in one. Two, remember why. I know I'm trying to do like this, and it looks like I keep saying number one. So two, understand why we do this. I did this because I love it, right? Earlier this spring, I was kind of struggling. I'd been home. I'd been practicing all the time, ready to go. I go to Guyman in the steer roping, so excited, show up, got this horse that's working great. I've been tying them, like looking like Brody Papineau, tying them from the post. I mean, I've been getting it. And I missed both of them day one. And I am so mad. Like, I'm so mad. And I go back to a friend of mine's where I'm staying. And because we roped 2 the first day, come back 2 the second day. And I'm like, I just don't understand. Like, how can I be that good in the practice pen and that terrible in the arena? And I mean, I'm down. I'm mad. And Steph had called, and so I tell her all about it. And then it hits me. Like, I don't think my wife wants to go to her job, come back, take care of both our daughters while I'm out here rodeoing. And my biggest complaint of the day was that I missed 2 steers, because I think as I've gotten older, I've gained perspective. And now I understand that you never know. Like, I had no idea that Saturday night I was going to be the fastest I'd ever been in my life. You never know when the next year is going to be the best one. And you never know when the next year is going to be the last one. So keeping that little bit of appreciation, and it allows you to keep your positivity up, and that'll help you crawl back out of a slump. So when I get in a little bit of a slump, I never admit that I'm in one. I always keep myself bouncing like a ball, right? It's going to come down, but that thing's going to come back up. So I try to keep bouncing along the way, and I keep my gratitude very high.
That is some good advice.
Yep. Linda asked, what is a must-have for your first aid kit for your horse that you have in your first aid kit?
That I have in my first aid kit. Well, my first aid kit's pretty much the whole trailer. So, all the great boots we've been talking about, those are just, there's not a saddle in my trailer that doesn't have the boots that we're talking about, because I think the best preventative, or the best thing you can do, is be preventative about injuries, obviously. And then I've got all sorts of sprays and creams for cuts, nicks, wounds. I've got all sorts of gut stuff. Like, I keep a fair amount of stuff to help with our ulcer situation. And then I've got a lot of, like, my vet box in my fridge of between Bute, Banamine, Dex. I mean, I've got stuff that'll slow them down, speed them up, make them go every which direction. So my entire trailer is like a vet box, because truly, as we rodeo, everything we win is dependent on these horses showing up, feeling their best, and doing their best. And, like, that's one great thing about the boot up program, is you're going to be able to experience with a lot of new things. You're going to save some money doing it. You're going to save money not only on the product, but then possible injuries down the road. And so for me, I would say my whole rig's a vet box, and I couldn't survive without any of it.
Okay, this one's from Cole. You said in an interview that speed trains healers not to haze in the short go. Can you explain that a little bit?
Oh, that was Gabe said that. Yeah, no, he trained me not to haze, period. So Speedy, I don't know if you guys know Speed Williams, 8-time world champ, greatest header that's ever lived. He was big on, when we practiced at his house, his horse needed to go find the cow. So when you get to a high teamer situation, even if you have, you've been going at them, you've been reaching, you've been doing all this, fun, wild stuff, when it gets it's time to knock the steer down. That means that you're going to leave the corner, put your hand on his neck, and that horse is going to go find the cow for you. You're running all the way to the steer to set it up. So the easiest way to do that is to not allow the healer to be moving the cow in front of the horse, or moving him when you're trying to throw. Speedy was big about, like, if that steer coughed and his head went to the left, right, and you could be in the last zip code, right, you can't move that steer. So he was very particular about the steer taking his own pattern, and you being cowboy and enough horsemen to go find the cow where he's at. But I don't know. That's the first time I had heard Gabe say that. He said, don't haze in the short round. I never hazed, period, for him. And honestly, I don't handle, like, people joke around all the time. Like, I don't ask Logan for a haze, and he doesn't ask me for a handle. You know what I mean? Because I tell him all the time, like, we're both professionals. Like, it's not your job to run the steer into my loop. And it's not, you don't have to have me handle them a certain way for you to catch. So I think that helps us keep our accountability on both sides. But no, Speedy was big about not hazing. In fact, when I healed for him in 2012, Abilene, Kansas, like, when you're a healer, there's a guy that he opens the gate, and then there's a guy on the steer's head, and then there's a guy pushing the steer. So you can see no part of the steer. So the gates bang, I kind of start that way, and the steer comes out, half step to the left, Speedy misses him, tells me that I need to learn to score as long as he's having to score. Because I moved first, and that steer saw me move off the corner, and it made him step left 18 feet out here in the arena when he threw his rope. Now, as unbelievable as that was to me, right, how are you going to argue with an 8-time world champion, and he's the greatest header of all time? You know what I mean? What are you going to say? Like, no, you know what I mean? I was like, got it. You got it, Park. Even though I couldn't see him, if he could see me, good job, Cal. I couldn't. Anyways, so the next place we go is Lovington, New Mexico, and the right fence is over about 60 feet, it feels like. And when this Hereford steer runs into the right fences, I'm behind everybody in the place. Speed leaves, the steer leaves, and then here I come loping behind him. It looked like you were heading for your little kid in the practice pen for the first time, and you're like, hey, don't get too close so that you don't get yourself in a bind. That's what I looked like back there, just loping along with them. So no, I don't know why he said not to haze in the short round. I was always taught not to haze for speedy. Period.
That is all the questions.
See, you didn't think this was quite going to be an hour, but you really didn't understand what we were dealing with.
All right. That's all the questions. Oh.
Is that like a question we can't
Kind of a
ask?
question.
Or is it just,
Maybe Speed had too many
More of a
ones.
statement.
It's statement.
It's a statement. Oh, goodness. All right.
Let's go for some boots.
Yeah, let's go ahead. We're gonna draw a winner of some boots. Get a 4-pack.
4-pack? That is some retail price of.
$185.
I'm not gonna be able to tell you.
What a giveaway on a Wednesday.
Nice little prize.
Hey, what a great opportunity too from Professional's Choice, the Boot Up program, October 1st through the end of the year. So go to Vegas, go to your local retailer, go anywhere, pick them up. Save yourself some money along the way. $20 off on a 4-pack, $10 off on a 2-pack, everything but the bell boots.
Valley Vet will be honoring that. So check them out on valleyvet.com.
So we can do that through online
Oh, yes.
with Valley Vet.
Valley Vet will honor that
Oh,
on
I did not
everything.
realize that. How handy is that? You can sit right there on the couch, enjoy a little bit of TV, watch the rodeo. Bam, you pop your favorite color. Save yourself 20 on a 4-pack. Oh, what a great day. What a Wednesday.
It is. It is.
All right. Who's our winner, Melanie?
Okay, so our winner is Kristen Wacker.
Woo! Congratulations.
Congratulations.
That was a lot of
Telling you,
That
call
was,
me.
that was a lot. That was a lot.
All right.
So
we
Kristen,
have-
if you're still on here, send us a PM to claim your prize.
all right. We want to thank Coleman so much. Thank you, Brody, Professional Choice, for joining us today. This was super fun. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Hey, thanks for having us. And Coleman, thank you for being here with us.
Hey, thank you guys, and thank you, Professional Choice, for all the support that not only give me, but what they've done for the horse industry, and for each and every one of our athletes that we ride and take care of, and that pay for our living. We just want to thank you, Professional Choice, for what you guys do for us.
Just
All
a couple of announcements before we let you go.
Before we hop off here, we have our shopping spree giveaway going on right now at Valley Vet. So if you haven't entered that, go enter. The deadline is November 30th.
Okay, and make sure you follow us on social media, sign up for emails so that you can be the first to know about all of our great promotions and giveaways and sweepstakes and live events. And that's all for today.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
So thank you guys very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.